Hi everybody, it's Josh. This is the final screencast for the day 2 on expectations of the skillful teacher. And I just want to review what the kind of final stage of the process is. And we were talking about taking it to the classroom and trying to apply what you learned on that day. And so what I did in the session was I talked about this cycle of design, experiment, and reflect. And then we went into some examples of it. So in the design stage, you need a focusing question, and I'll show you in a minute. We have what we think is a really good sentence frame that helps you frame a really good question that's going to lead to results for students. Then you experiment in your classroom. It could be a single lesson or multiple lessons, and we want you to collect data, and it doesn't have to be an empirical study and double blind and all that kind of stuff, but something that will help to inform your decisions moving forward. So it could be student work samples, observational data, student surveys or reflections or that kind of thing. And then finally, before you meet with your colleagues at the site lunch, you want to reflect with just one partner, preferably the person that was watching you in the classroom or helping you design your experiment, and answer 4 basic questions, which are what worked well, what challenges did you face, what are your next steps, and what support do you need? So that's the cycle, and each teacher is going to do this cycle once in between each of the main sessions. So once in September, another time in October, another time in kind of late November, December, January, and then after the January session, this is all we do for the spring. So you do multiple cycles going back to some of the concepts that maybe the concepts that we're learning right now in August, or maybe other ones, and you kind of have a lot more choice at the end. So here's an example, and this is the frame that I was talking about. We like this frame because it focuses you on a specific student. It could be a class, it could be a single student, it could be a group of students within a class or within your classes, but it's focusing on rather than just all 150 or 180 of your students. And then what do you want them to improve? So this is key, right? Anytime you do an experiment, it needs to be focused on student learning and student results. So that's where you would put that in. And then what are you going to do? So this is an experiment, which means you really shouldn't do things that you've been doing for years and years. You really want to try something new to see how it impacts the students. And then finally, what are you going to use as your evidence that's going to tell you that the students now have a greater or don't have a greater ability to do whatever you want? So that's what the question would look like in this, in the growth mindset and effective effort one, which many people are doing. You do a presentation in front of your students explaining what growth mindset is. Maybe for this, since it's using evidence, maybe you collect a rough draft of student paragraphs, and then you do a lesson that shows them how to use the feedback that you've given them. And then you look at the revisions to see if they can use feedback well, which is one of the elements of effective effort. I don't know why that there. Oh, and I guess that's it. So the other one was no opt out, and you have a handout for that too. And that one's kind of all scripted as well. So I guess I'll end this here. Thanks. See you next time.